Welcome to Makers Chat Live. I'm Jennifer Sampou, and today I have my very special guest, Cindy Farrow of The Fabric Chick. Hi.
Hi, good morning. Well, good afternoon, good morning to
Well,
you or wherever.
yeah, it's still morning, but it's after. Well, what time is it there?
It's
Noon?
noon,
Noon.
12.
So good afternoon.
Yeah.
How are
Can you
you?
see, can you see okay?
We see the beautiful Turntables Quilt. Fabulous.
Awesome.
Fabulous. I do want to dive into your quilt, and she's featured in my Chalk and Charcoal lookbook.
Yeah. As you know, I carry the full line of chalk and charcoal, and I love seeing the new colors coming and
Wait, so
great addition.
did everyone hear that? She carries the full line of Chalk and Charcoal. That's over 100 pieces.
Yep. Got them all.
Yes, this is just so you people know. This is the full line of Chalk and Charcoal. Woo, flying by.
And you know, if you haven't used it, and I'm going to brag on you, Jennifer, it's great fabric. It's got such a beautiful texture, and the colors and the saturation, they're awesome. And I also carry your sky line of fabric, and they complement each other so amazingly well, and it's just fun fabric to work with. So I love having all the colors and the new colors, and keep them coming, and they complement sky so amazingly well.
Great. Yeah, and you know, they don't ever go out of style.
No.
That's the other thing. That's what I've been trying to focus on a lot more these past few years is you have to like basics that never go out of style and that are good with everyone.
Right.
So you've got the beautiful Turntables quilt behind you. So let's start talking about that. So first of all, it is a pattern by So Much More, which is your friend, right?
Yes. So Nicole Moore is one of my good friends. She is a designer, a pattern designer and influencer here in the Kansas City area. For those of you that don't know, I mean, Kansas City is such a hotbed of designers and pattern writers and celebrities, if you will. And we are so fortunate to have so many beautiful and wonderful shops in the Kansas City area. And one thing that's really important to me is to support my fellow business owners and ladies that work really hard to be creative and create things. And Nicole released this turntables pattern. I don't know if you can see it okay, but
yeah, there we go.
Last year. And so when you gave the call out to about, yep, they're the two of them.
Yeah, there's the different version. Yep.
So I thought, that one, I wanted to support Nicole with one of her new patterns, and I wanted to do an entirely different take on her quilt. And I love that when people buy quilt patterns, to see how 2, 3, 4 people can create such different quilts using the same pattern. And I wanted to go a little bit more down the vibrant route with some of your new colors in there. And I don't know if they're Pac-Mans or, you know, cheddar cheese wheels. I don't know, but it was just fun. So but supporting Nicole and her pattern was first and foremost my decision in picking her pattern. And then going with the vibrant colors. And I will tell you about her pattern. It's very well written. It's an incredible pattern. And in the pattern, you can cut the fabric using, you know, traditional, you know, rulers and whatever, or you can use a cutting system and use a 7-inch drunkard's path. So the pattern does outline if you're going to cut it by hand with rulers, or with a cutting system like an AccuQuilt or a Sizzix or whatever, with a 7-inch drunkard's path. And I did the cutting system. I don't normally do that, and I will tell you, it was great, especially with all the curves and the drunkard's path pieces. So followed the pattern directly, didn't deviate from it, and just it was a lot of fun to make.
So with the cutting system, which cutting system did you use? And is it save you time, or is it maybe just save you mistakes and it's more accurate?
Well, I don't really use cutting systems very often, but I use the AccuQuilt. But I know Sizzix, there's a lot of them out there, but you need a 7-inch drunkard's path die to do this. And I just thought it would save me a lot of time and it would be very accurate on those curves. You know, there's a lot of curves in this pattern. But I just thought it would be a lot more accurate and it was fun to use. But the one thing with cutting systems, and not a knock against them, but you've got to be cognizant you may use a little bit more fabric.
Right.
And you've got to allow for that to be very, I try to be very judicious with my fabric when I've used them in the past, but it really did save me a lot of time, and I needed to be accurate because I didn't have a lot of fabric of the new colors I was using, and I couldn't afford to make a mistake, which I may have made.
So the whole thing is, when I ask makers to be part of my lookbooks, we're working way before the fabric ever comes out. Like, it is September, was it? I think it was last year.
It was last year
that I said, hey, I have like very small designer cuts. So if you're going to be in, I need you to be in. And if you're going to be in, you got to make these deadlines. And I have to have it for photography, copy, all the stuff.
There's a lot that goes on to it, and that pressure of getting done. And, you know, I may have made a mistake, but, you know, I can't even, the great thing is you can't even see it. I had to Frankenstein.
It's a beautiful quilt
together where I'd miscut and I sewed them together, but that's the beauty of fabric. You can sew it together, and once it's quilted, you never see it. So
right. Amen. Amen.
Yeah. Amen to that.
I also pulled up the colors. Colette gave these to me, but these are all the colors that you use.
Yes.
So
yes.
So when we were choosing, are they all the new ones, or do we have some of the old ones in it? I can't remember.
There are some of the old ones in there as well. I think there are 3 or I think 4 of the new colors in there.
Right. Right.
But I really worked hard, and there's a couple of ladies in the sewing lounge right now listening to me, and they are here every week, and they watched me struggle in a very creative way to get this gradation the way I wanted it, and using the new colors plus with the old, you know, going from warm to cool, and you know, you helped me a lot with that too, and then picking the right color. There I am. I'm good. That yarrow, you know.
I know that was a bit of we stepped off. This was I think brave, because turntable quilts, you would want this turntable, you'd think of just a black record, right?
Yes.
So this is what I think really changed the look of the pattern, was it's a light value.
Yes.
And it's yarrow, which is one of my favorite Kona colors.
Yeah.
But to put it with, you know, with these guys, it was pretty
brave. It was bold. And you know, there's that train again.
I love that sound.
Isn't it funny? We kind of naturally just quit talking around here when they come, and then we wait a second, and then we keep going. You know, here's the thing with all creative things, or people are either gonna like it or they're not.
Right.
You know, but it's a very bold choice. It's different. I liked it. It spoke to me, and I love how it pops the other colors and just really changed the look of that.
Yeah, and that's you still did the warm to cool, but you did your own version of warm to cool, which is what I like. You know, the top right is the warm reds and cherries and pinks, and then you have this kind of purpley gray in the center. You've got those 2 colors, and then you go into the cool, into the sea foams and light powder colors.
Yeah, I will say it was a true team effort. We were all, my whole team and some other friends, you know, we worked really hard. You know, when you get asked to create something for somebody's magazine, you want to give it your best, you know, so you get your A team together, and you just put your heads together and watch it come together. And that's what's fun about the creative process, and getting people together to really work it through, and knowing we only had so much of that fabric, though. We really had to get it right.
Right. I remember I had to like stick another like quarter yard into a white envelope and send it to you.
Yes.
Like, we're out of that. You have any more? I'm like, oh, you know, looking around the studio, I'm like, oh, here's a little scrap. I'm sending you a little scrap.
It was fun. We were piecing stuff together. It was fun, but I enjoy it. I think it's fun.
Really
We've
fun.
had it hanging on the wall in the shop over the last couple of weeks, and people have loved it. You know, it's been received very well, and the people that have seen Nicole's other quilt hanging in my shop, you know, this version,
Yep.
and then to see this, they're like, whoa, what a difference. That, you know, is so very different. And that's what I love about quilt patterns. You can make them look so very different, but make them yours.
Yes, I agree.
Yep.
And I know we've pre-sold a lot in our shop.
Okay. And you know what's kind of fun, if you and if for those in the pattern too, there's a coloring sheet.
Yep.
If you ever kind of want to do another design or another color, and then you can also, Nicole has a QR code where you can also download another color sheet if you want. If you ever want to do it in different colors or play with it a little differently. We just had a lady buy the kit, but she wanted to change out the yarrow and do a different color.
Sure.
So
and that'll give a totally different look. I mean, you could do a white, you could do a soft gray, you could do a deep purple. I mean, there's so many different colors that would be stunning in that. I mean, you know, yeah. And that's, again, make it yours. Make it yours. We're just giving you ideas that we love. So, okay, I have another question for you. How hard are those curves to sew?
You know what? I love curves. So about a year ago, I told myself, kind of like with binding, I used to hate binding. And then I told myself one day, I'm going to be the best binding ever. And it's one of my favorite things. I love sewing curves now. Now I'm not usually a pinner, but with curves, you do need to pin, and you pin it, and you just take your time, and you get into a little rhythm, and you kind of learn what you can do and what you can't, but just take your time at first and be patient with yourself. And then when they iron out, you're like, oh, wow, look how great that looks. So, yeah.
I know. When you iron out a curve, especially, it's one of the most satisfying. I just love it. You put your little flatter there, you're getting aromatherapy, you get visual.
Well, and I was going to say, that was the other thing about the cutting system. It had a little notch, which is great, you know, kind of on your curve to where you help you pin your two pieces. They notch together. That way you know where the center and the sides are. And then I kind of got a little excessive on my pinning. You know, once I did the middle and the sides, I put a couple extra on the sides of it, just to keep it in place and be patient. But I do a lot of So Kind of Wonderful patterns too, which are very curved.
Yeah.
So I sew a lot of curves, but if you're not used to them, just take your time, be patient, and give yourself some grace.
You can trim up those bits that might hang over at the end.
Yep.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like I said, when it irons,
someone just made a comment, this quilt is even more gorgeous in person. Oh, that's awesome. That's a nice compliment.
Thank you. I can't see who said that, but
okay, so the way you deviated from the pattern was just color, right? You didn't
just
deviate,
color.
Just color.
Yep.
And
I
then
kept
tell us about the quilting. I don't know if you can hold the quilting up. The quilting, you see it on my website and on your website. The quilting's amazing.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, it's really fun. So who did the quilting? Did you do that, or did someone in your shop do that?
Right. No, my good friend Tia Curtis, and it's Tia Curtis.
Tia. I love Tia.
Yeah, Tia is amazing. So she's here in the Kansas City area in Leavenworth, and she's a phenomenal quilter. And I gave it to her, and I told her a little bit about what I wanted, but then I said, make it look amazing. It's going in a magazine. And she worked her charm and did some custom quilting, and it's really pretty. I wish everybody could see it in person to see how well it looks, but she just is a phenomenal quilter. She did my quilt, the quilting on my quilt that's on the cover of Better Homes and Gardens too, and it is a work of art. That talent is amazing. Give me straight lines, which straight lines aren't that easy to quilt either, but I can do those. But this is phenomenal. So she did a great job. So again, Tia Curtis Quilts.
That's great. Okay, thank you. And then, so are you doing a class at your store by any chance? I know you're selling it online.
I
But
haven't
anything
really
you want to tell us about?
decided about doing a class, but I think if people wanted to do a class, we would certainly do that because you know, getting people together is our game.
Right.
So it's fun to do.
Okay.
And I've got an AccuQuilt cutter here at the shop and lots of dies that when people are using the lounge, they're free to use. And so it would be kind of nice, you know, or if people here, at least in the Kansas City area, if they bought the pattern and they wanted to try the cutting system, they could come down and use the cutter here just to cut out all of their pieces, and I could give them some pointers while they're here. Would love that. Yeah,
that's great.
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking back, so I just had my 5-year anniversary for the shop back in March, and I don't know if you remember, but you were one of my first designers I had out at the shop. Oh no, a train.
Oh,
I'm gonna see how bad the sound is for just a second.
It's okay, but your shop is right by the train tracks.
Yes, it is. So I've got the shop on the other side of the wall, and then my sewing lounge, which here, I'll give everybody a little sneak peek of.
Oh, wait, go slower. That's so, okay, people are just still getting on, but
Yeah.
this is Cindy. Is it the fabric chick or the fabric
chic?
chic? Fabric, that's what I thought. It's the fabric chick.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. So at least if people come in and they'll say, is it the fabric chick or the fabric chic? And I did a play off fabric, but at least they're talking about me, you know? So, you know,
yeah,
little marketing.
You're very chic. You're a chic chick.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that better. That's
Perfect.
As good as we're going to.
Perfect.
So I
remember it was quilt. There was a quilt market in Kansas City.
Yes.
And then you invited me to teach, and I was like, I fell in love with you immediately. I'm like, you're so cool. You're brand new, and you're a great businesswoman. Because isn't your background like banking or finance or something?
Actually, I was an executive in the life insurance industry. So I was a head of a sales distribution channel, and you know, hey, let's have a midlife crisis and own open a fabric store. 5.5 years later, you know, I've been blessed. I have a great customers. I have marvelous employees and couldn't do it without them. And here we are. We got picked as one of the top 10 shops in North America by Better Homes and Gardens Quilt Sampler, and my quilt was on the cover.
Wow. You don't have a copy of that, do you, with you? Because I remember when that came out.
Yeah, not with me. Darn it, I should have. Okay. I had enough magazines to probably wallpaper my entire sewing lounge, but finally we have no more magazines, at least not here. I've got a few probably somewhere around here, but anyway, I was very excited about that, and that was a true team effort with my staff when we created that quilt for the cover. So we didn't know it was going to be on the cover.
Well, I love that, you know, you had a midlife crisis. It sounds like a midlife awakening, right? Not a crisis at all.
It was an awakening. It was great because I never I made my first quilt block with my mom when I was 8 years old. It was a churn dash. And then I never quilted again until my mom unexpectedly passed away in 2002. And I found my quilt block, and I couldn't believe she had kept it. And also with the quilt block were the cardboard templates that we had. It has my mother's handwriting on it, and they're like my most prized possession. And I had to put it away. It was very emotional. And then fast forward 10 years later, my father passed away, and I found that churn dash block that I had made again. And I thought that was Mom poking at me to do something. So I didn't make my first quilt until the end of 2011, beginning of 2012, and fell in love with it, and it really became my stress reliever. And I wanted to open a fabric store and a quilt shop. And so I knew when we got picked for the magazine, you had to design a quilt. I knew a churn dash had to be in it. So that is all over my quilt that's on the cover of the magazine. So pretty excited. So Mom's with me all the time.
Oh, you know, I didn't know that story. I mean, that's beautiful. Yeah, I know. I'm like this. That is
tearing me up. Sorry, everybody.
No, I didn't know that story, Cindy. That's really sweet.
Yeah,
and heartfelt.
I think my mom would have loved this. She would have been all up in my business every day telling me what to do, and I would have loved it. But she was fun. She loved to be very creative. I think I always had a creative side, but I really enjoyed my corporate career and learned a lot. And I think it positioned me to do this in a very positive way. And I've learned a lot, though. I'm sorry, I'm still tearing up here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a great journey, and I've loved it so far, and I'm having a blast. So here we are.
Well, you know, it's great because you're professional and you're creative. So I think having all that background is like, you know how to kick it out of the ballpark, you know, and you know how to run a business and you understand that. And then you've got the whole creative, colorful side, which is wonderful for your customers too, you know. And I've got your store up online. And so you
Uh-oh.
also sell online. So tell us a little bit about the store before we dive into the quilt. Tell me just a little bit about the store and then your online business. Are
Okay.
they
They're
together?
intertwined, but I knew when I opened the shop, I really wanted it to be a brick and mortar to start off with.
And you're
To
in Kansas
focus
City, right? So
in
everyone who
Kansas
doesn't
City,
know.
on the Missouri side. Kansas City is kind of an enigma for everybody outside of the Midwest. There's a Kansas City, Missouri, and a Kansas City, Kansas. It doesn't matter. We're all a great big
It's
metropolitan
a
area.
great city.
Yes.
Great city.
I'm in a little river town suburb of Kansas City called Parkville. So I can see downtown, you know, on a clear day, we can see into downtown Kansas City, and we set right off the Missouri River. So when I opened my shop, I wanted it to be very eclectic and contemporary, but still appeal to traditional quilters as well. But so kind of an eclectic mix of contemporary fabric. I do. We've got flannels. We do bag making. We've got. We have a lot of we have a lot of bag makers that frequent the store as well. Then, gosh, our second anniversary, getting ready to celebrate the second anniversary, and that dreaded COVID happened, and I put my entire store online. Now I have my bolt fabric online, but put my entire store, notions and everything, all online to, you know, to survive. You get
Right.
real, you know, I was still new and still learning and, you know, still establishing a customer base, and got everything put online and thread, notions, everything. So that has been fun. So we get a mix of our you know, brick and mortar customers whom I love dearly, and they are awesome. And then we've got a growing online business as well, but it's
Yeah.
all intertwined. And I love that, you know. And I'll tell you this, it means a lot to me. When COVID happened, I had several. Well, I thought when the first customer did it was kind of an enigma. They called and they said, you know what I like? I want you to pick me out something every week and just bill my credit card and just send it to me. And then that just started happening. And man, I'm going to tear up again on that, on how supportive people were. You know, and my business was just in its infancy then. It still is, you know, but that was so kind for people to just to reach out and support. And it makes you feel like you're doing something right. So that was
Yeah.
really
And you
awesome.
know, it pushed people either off the edge or into putting some stuff online. And like my mother-in-law, was who owns the Cotton Patch, it's one of the oldest stores in the country.
Right.
She was getting phone calls off the hook. I'll meet you
Yep.
at the front door. Literally, they'd have the mask on and they just, with the gloves, they'd hand it out the front door.
Yep.
And then they would leave the package outside their house. You know, we were so freaked out when that
Yep.
first happened. But we all needed to come together. We were so used to being in these quilting bees and in class
Right.
and going to the store because it's such a communal place to
Right.
be.
Well, I'll tell you, it was, you know, I showed a quick view of the sewing lounge. That was painful to watch that set empty for almost a year, you know,
Right.
really. Even though after the shutdown, you know, still trying to get people to come together was very difficult. So it is great to see the sewing lounge with people here for sew days or classes or workshops. And it makes me happy because when we're in the store, we can hear everybody giggling and laughing, and it's just such a joyous sound. You know, people, we're social. We want to be together and create together and make awesome things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
If you live in the Kansas City area or it's a couple hours, you want to make the trip, Cindy's, I mean, it's a darling street that you're on right by the river.
Yep.
And are the colors changing in Kansas City now? How's the fall coming?
The leaves are just getting ready to start changing. I drove up my street this morning, and we have one neighbor. Their tree is always the first one to start, and it's just got this really beautiful red and yellow, just stripe down the middle of it, and the rest is green, and it'll just work. So it's just starting to change. The next week and a half, 2 weeks will be gorgeous here in the Kansas City area, but it's really dry. We really need some rain. So, and it's been 92 degrees still. It's brutally hot today on the 3rd of October. But later this week, it's supposed to kind of drop back down into the normal range. But we've had 90-degree weather for the last couple of days. So Mother Nature, she's holding on.
Oh, wow. That's brutal.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
I want to put my pumpkins out.
Yeah. I know. I just put, I'm getting all the festival stuff ready too. I'm getting, my fall colors out. I'm working on this quilt still, my son's quilt that's taking me a long time. It's going to be taking a long time. The log cabin with all the sky. But do you want to share anything else? I asked to see if you had any samples that you want to show up to share with everyone.
Well, and I apologize. I was going to bring over one. I don't know if there's any Yellowstone fans online. But we made our version of the Beth Dutton quilt using chalk and charcoal, and for the red and blacks. And then I used Essex yarn dyed as the background. So if there's any Beth Dutton, quilt lovers and Yellowstone lovers, which is so different than what I would normally do. But I used chalk and charcoal in that, and it turned out really great. That's been really popular. And right now we've got the All Missouri Shop Hop going on. It started September 1st and it goes through the end of October. There are 100 quilt shops in the state of Missouri that are participating. And
wow.
Yeah, so that quilt has been popular with a lot of the crowd that's coming with that. So I'm always making stuff. Oh, I have, and I wish I would have brought it over. I have another good friend of mine, Tina Jackson. She just created a new pattern called Deep Stash, and in our group, my friend Angel Prisick had made that Deep Stash pattern using sky, and it is absolutely stunning. I wish I could have had her quilt up here because it is gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. So those that are in your group on Facebook, Angel has posted it several times in the group.
Good. On the Poo Crew,
yeah.
The Facebook Poo Crew. Okay, yes. That's new.
It's called Deep Stash, and she did it with sky, and it is a stunner. Oh wow, it's a stunner. So
good. Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, I'll look at that after we get off. But well, that sounds great because it's the season where everyone starts to quilt before we get too wrapped up in the holidays. Right. But I did want to share, because this is a Turntables quilt, we have not talked about what records we loved to turn when we were kids.
Oh my!
And I have a stack here that I wanted to share. But first, I wanted to ask you, what are your favorite, like, vintage? Now it's vintage. What were your favorite records you love to listen to, Cindy?
Queen, AC/DC. I'm a rocker from the 80s. So what's funny is, all right, so my oldest son, he's 26. He is into albums and vinyls, and we have thousands. So he took my collection and Michael's collection, and we have got a phenomenal collection of albums in our basement. Colin has a turntable, from the 70s, the big speakers. It's all been refurbished, and I bought him the big old-fashioned headphones with the beanbag. It's great, but mine, Queen, AC/DC, Van Halen.
Yeah, you're a rocker, girl. Right.
The hair bands, yes. But Kings of Leon's the new one, which I still buy a lot of the albums that come out today to put in our collection. There's just something about the sound of an album that is so different than
the method of no, I've got look what I've got right here.
Oh, Fleetwood Mac. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
One of my first albums. I stared at this picture for days.
Yes.
For days.
Yes.
Every song on it is a classic, and Yeah, I think I was in 7th grade when this came out.
That's awesome. You know what? Michael Jackson Thriller, that album when it came out, and it has him on the front, you know, doing
Yes.
his,
Oh my God.
all the Michael Jackson albums. I have all those.
Another favorite. Another favorite.
Oh, no way.
Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, baby.
Dark Side of the Moon. I love it. That's
right?
great.
I mean, oh my God. This was down in Leah's basement. I used to hang out with Leah, and her brother got this, and we would, with the big headphones, we just listened to, like, you know, we don't need no education. Boom.
The ladies are laughing in the they're laughing at us.
This other one, Hot Rocks, Rolling Stones.
The Stones, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, you must love the Stones right there.
Well, Boston, Foreigner, all those albums.
Wait, I have Boston. Look at this. This is my other favorite.
Yes.
Right?
It is.
Because I grew up in Boston. And then
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I grew up in Boston.
Well, how long have you been on the West Coast then?
California, like for more than so I moved to California when I was 22.
Okay.
So I left, so I was New York City, Vermont, and then that's where I went to school. But Boston was one of the first ones. So I was like, oh my God.
Dichotomy.
There, the coast, you know, I'm attracted to the coasts. You know, I love the coast. But okay, my last two I want to share because she's badass.
My gosh. Blondie.
Right?
Yes. That was one of my favorites too. Yes.
She's so badass. And then, of course, everyone loves Elton John.
Yep.
Right?
My brother I used to steal my brother's Yellow Brick Road album and play that all the time. Loved it.
Yeah.
Because I was the baby of 5, you know, so my sister is 10 years older, a brother 9 years older, a brother 8 years older, and a brother 4 years older. So they had some great albums. I would go steal theirs all the time.
Same. I was the youngest of 5. So I had everything from Joni Mitchell and Joan Baez to, you know, like Tower of Power and
Tower of Power. I haven't heard that forever.
Tower of Power. And my other favorite is Earth, Wind and Fire.
Earth.
I mean, so many. It's just, we could go on all day about all the albums we have and everything we listen to. So that's also what I love about this quilt. Is the nostalgia. Even though it's a modern quilt, it brings all the nostalgia. You know.
Exactly.
Another gal who I met in Oregon. She also was the youngest of 5.
That's right. We rocked those babies.
Yep. We had all the music to us. All of our brothers and sisters. Simon and Garfunkel, everything.
Yes.
Anyway, Cindy, it's been really fun chatting with you.
Well, thank you.